Hello, Audioholics. This is Logan, and today we are going to be doing a new video, which was all Tyler's idea, so if you hate it, blame him. And speaking of
my
which,
fault
here
anyway.
is Tyler.
What's going on, guys? Do you like my new look? Honestly, this is what I was trying to build up to. So, I was growing out that huge-ass beard so I could shave it down and have this nice, clean, stubble look going. I also got rid of the
Meanwhile,
mustache.
I obviously spent so much time styling my beard.
Yeah, it's fucking... It's 4 hours every morning. He's sitting there.
4 hours up the hill both ways,
cream in
just like...
oils and...
Exactly.
Exfoliating it.
No, I actually put essential oils on my beard. So my beard is cured of COVID. Sadly, the rest of me isn't.
Yeah, so do you want to let me explain what today's video is?
Yeah, you explain this shit.
All right, so basically today we're doing a bracket fight. So I went through a bunch of classic metal and rock albums lists and just pulled a bunch of albums. I pulled 48 total. And I put them into this bracket fight, which if you don't know what that is, basically you have matchups. Like in the first matchup here, Blue Murder versus Diamond Head, which we'll get to. We're going to choose a winner based on that. And then the next matchup, we'll choose a winner. And then in the next round, those two albums will fight. And then whatever wins will move on. And then so on and so forth. And eventually it'll come down to two albums. And then whichever one is the supreme metal / rock album on my list. It's going to be great. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, so this is going to be a bunch of classic rock / metals albums. I know a little bit. So Tyler put this list together.
Yeah.
And I know a little bit of what is on the list, but I don't know most of it.
And by the way, sorry to interrupt, the way that I picked these albums, so I got probably over 100 albums from those lists, and I basically just threw it in a randomizer and chose the first 48. That's basically what I did. And then the randomizer picked the right ones that would go up against. So Blue Murder and Diamond Head were 1 and 2. Yeah, I moved some things around because there was one later where it's an amazing album versus I was like, okay, that's not going to be fun to talk about. It's going to be oh yeah, boom. So there were a few I moved around just for some more interesting matchups. But
and this will be done in multiple parts, probably 3, but I guess I'll have to see. Probably 3, depending on how long this one is.
Yeah, we'll probably do 3 parts, 1 covering the left side of the bracket, 1 covering the right side of the bracket, and then the finals.
Yeah, and spoiler alert, he did say that there's going to be 1 shitposty one. I don't know what it is, but I know I'm going to hate it.
The funny thing is, it was actually on a lot of, those top classic rock album lists.
No.
It really was. It was on so many of them. I was like, okay, I have to.
It better not be fucking Tom Petty. For those who don't know, I have an absolute disdain for Tom Petty.
Oh, I'll tell you what. I'll give you a hint, and don't reveal this to the audience if you know what it is. You have the cassette of it.
Oh, shit, really?
You do. You have a cassette of it.
Oh, is it? Okay.
All right, so without further ado, you want to get into this?
Yeah, let's get into this.
All right, so the first matchup we have here is the self-titled Blue Murder album versus Lightning to the Nations by Diamond Head. Would you like to start us off?
Yeah, so right off the bat, I'm going to say Blue Murder. Now, if we were going objectively, I think Diamond Head might have the edge, but we aren't. This is my opinion. And I think that Blue Murder, self-titled, is an absolute masterpiece album that should have been way bigger.
It's so good.
That should have been way bigger than it is. Honestly, I think if we had more albums with this level of creativity and uniqueness and riffs, lyrical content, just everything in the 80s metal scene, grunge wouldn't have needed to try and kill it.
Yeah, and this got such technicality to it.
Exactly. Title track, Riot.
What's the last song? That was my favorite.
I need to look that up. Shoot. But it's really good. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that last song blew me the hell away the first time I heard it.
Yeah,
it's
there's
one of my favorites.
a couple songs And then they released another album which wasn't too bad either, but my understanding is this one is sort of better.
The other album is actually how I was introduced to Blue Murder.
Black-Hearted Woman. Yeah, that's a great song. Also,
Ptolemy is probably amazing.
Ptolemy, is that how you pronounce that? Okay.
That's I don't know. That was probably my favorite song. Jelly Roll was kind of mad. That was like the only one I didn't really like that much.
Yeah. Sex Child is pretty good.
Yeah, it's just such an amazing album.
Yeah.
And Lightning to the Nations is also an amazing album, but it has less amazing songs on it than Blue Murder does. Like Lightning to the Nations has the title track, it has Am I Evil, it has It's Electric, it has Sucking My Love, The Prince. There's really good songs on that album. It's just like the rest are kind of just like, your standard fare new wave of British heavy metal stuff. And for that reason, I'm with Logan on this one. Blue Murder, that album is just, it's so technical, it's so well written, the vocals are amazing, super underrated. I can't believe people talk about Whitesnake over this album.
Yeah,
because it had John Sykes on it.
Exactly. And like, nothing against Whitesnake, I like them, but I mean, this is just, and like, I would say like this album is better than anything I've heard from Whitesnake. Any album I've heard from Whitesnake, I haven't heard all of them. It's better than anything I've heard from even Tigers of, what is it, Patang?
I love that band though. I love that band.
I've tried really hard to get into them, and I don't know why. They should be right up my alley if I like, especially if you like Blue Murder, but I'm not really for me. But I will say this, same thing with Diamond Head. I don't like that album as much as I should, and I don't really know why. Especially like Am I Evil is such a great song. It's Electric is pretty good. I don't get why I don't worship this album.
I don't know, because like you do like new wave of British heavy metal.
I love new wave. That's like I love, like, my two favorite kinds of metal are like 70s proto metal, like shit like Sir Lord Baltimore, obviously Black Sabbath, like I guess arguably Uriah Heep, things like that. And then like 80s new wave, I guess like to some degree Judas Priest, even though that's debatable. Iron Maiden, Witchfinder General is one of my favorite bands of all time, and we will definitely need to do an Audioholics Unite on their first album. But Diamond Head, I don't really know why. And they are an extremely influential band. If we didn't have Diamond Head, you would not have Metallica, you would not have Megadeth, you would probably not have like most of the thrash metal scene.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much Motorhead, specifically the Overkill album and this album, that basically created what we call thrash metal.
Exactly.
A lot of people also talk about Symptom of the Universe by Mr. Blaku Sabathu. That's considered to be one of the earliest like thrash songs.
I would even go as far as to say like the song Dissident Aggressor by Judas Priest is another like really early blueprint of thrash metal.
Yeah. All right. Well, without further, one more thing. So I don't know if I told you about this, but Diamond Head is re-recording their Lightning to the Nations album with the current lineup, and they covered a Metallica song, No Remorse.
Oh, well, shit! It goes all around full circle.
Yeah, they did it in direct response to Metallica covering their songs in Garage.
Wow.
And honestly, it sounds worse. It sounds way worse. But
I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess better late than never. But I mean, if you're talking like 20 years late, I don't know.
You should listen to like their re-recording of It's Electric. I think that's the only one.
Is it already out?
The whole album isn't, but I think the single is. And it just sounds so much worse than the one they did before. But anyway.
Yeah, that's usually how that works. I hate bands that do like re-recordings. They're never as good the second time around.
So now we have Rush Moving Pictures versus Holy Diver Dio.
Oh, this is going to be tough. Should I go first?
Up to you.
I guess Holy Diver. I'm gonna be totally honest. I'm not like I would say like both of these albums are not top shelf material in terms of either band. I'm gonna say like I think that okay, so Holy Diver is a good album. I just don't really love Dio in his solo career. And even talking about Dio's solo career, Last in Line did everything that Holy Diver did way better. That
Yeah,
being
and
said,
Strange Highways is a much better album
yeah,
too.
that being said, Holy Diver is still a pretty good album. I mean, you have Stand Up and
Classic.
Shout, you have the title track, you have Straight Through the Heart, which is an amazing song. Don't Talk to Strangers, definitely the highlight of this album.
Caught in the
What is
Middle
it?
was always a favorite of mine.
I didn't really care
Caught
for
in
that
the
one, I don't think.
middle, just like the way I always am. Yeah, I like that song.
I don't really care. What is it? What's the one song? Is it Gypsy or Sign of the Gypsy? Something like that?
Yeah, I think it's called Gypsy. Just
Yeah,
Gypsy.
no, yeah, you're right. I'm thinking of Sign of the Gypsy Queen by April Wine. But Rainbow in the Dark is obviously a classic. I don't know how well that's really aged, honestly.
I still jam it. I mean, I love Dio.
Cheesy. It's cheesy. So Moving Pictures, on the other hand, that's from a band that I will absolutely worship. In fact, if you go into some of my older videos when I'm actually filming them at home, right behind me almost consistently is a Rush poster. So I absolutely worship Rush. I don't know. I would not say Moving Pictures is my favorite Rush album. I would say it is, well, Permanent Wave usually, or Hemispheres, maybe Clockwork Angels, but definitely not. And it all goes to, I don't really like Tom Sawyer. I don't really love XYZ. Camera Eye is okay. The two biggest highlights of that album by far are Red Barchetta and Limelight. They are both amazing songs. I just don't know if this album is as consistently brilliant as some other ones. So overall, I'm gonna go with Holy Diver by Dio. I mean, like, it's just a heavier album, and just the title track alone, I think, makes it better than Moving Pictures.
All right. So for me, this is an easy pick. Moving Pictures wins. Listen,
Really?
I love Dio. Okay. Dio is, I've said for a long time that Dio is my favorite metal vocalist. And although he's got some more competition now from people like Russell Allen and Matt Barlow and Joey Belladonna, but he's still got to be at least top two. Dio is just absolutely amazing. I love all of his solo albums, even Sacred Heart, all of them. I adore Dio. I worship the ground that fucker walks on. I even like his like Elf days. Nobody listens to Elf. I listen to Elf. That's how much I worship Dio.
It's because it's just kind of generic and nobody would care about it if he didn't go on to do a whole lot of better things, including
Nobody
Rainbow.
Cares about it now. Nobody cares about it now. But yeah, no, I get your point though. Like, I don't think it's, I just love Dio. There's something about the way he sings.
I like Dio. I just don't really care for his solo career. I don't think he's ever really released an album. Maybe it's not even like, I think it's just, I think his solo is just overhyped is what it is.
At the very least, I would say it's way better than Ozzy.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, I would much rather listen to any Dio Sabbath era album except maybe, what is it, The Devil You Know, or whatever that album is called, by Heaven and Hell. Or I would much rather listen to any Dio Rainbow album, even the first one, which I don't particularly love, but I like it.
Yeah, I love Dio. He's one of my favorites. I love the way he sings. I love his voice. Yeah. I love his performances. And arguably his best performances on this album. Arguably. I personally flip-flop all the time. But a lot of the time I say Rising. Sometimes I say The Mob Rules. Sometimes I say, heaven and hell, whatever. But this album's definitely one of his strongest performances. That said, I think it just doesn't have as many good songs as Moving Pictures. Rush is a beast in their own right. Rush on this album has one of my favorite Rush songs, Limelight. It has Tom Sawyer, which is a classic. It has Red Barchetta, which is a classic. It has YYZ, which is one of the
YYZ,
best,
sorry.
yeah, which is one of the best instrumentals of all time, period. I think the only one that's better from Rush is La Via Strangiato from Hemispheres.
Yeah.
But YYZ is easily better than most instrumentals. The Camera Eye, what an underrated song. It's one of the best songs Rush ever made. Witch Hunt, Vital Signs. This album is just perfect from front to back. Dio's album is great. Every song is killer, but it's just not to the same quality, in my opinion. All right, so let's move on to the next matchup, which is Zeppelin 4 versus the Number of the Beast.
Oh, that one's going to be easy for me. Zeppelin 4. Look,
really?
I love Number of the Beast, but there's some filler tracks on it. I'd say Gangland's like first and foremost. Also, hot take, I don't love Run to the Hills. It has a good riff. It has a good hit. It has a good riff, but there are better songs on that album. For example, Hallowed Be Thy Name. 22 Acacia Avenue, actually. 22 Acacia Avenue is the best song on the album. Number of the Beast, even, I would say is better. Invaders is pretty good. Children of the Damned is an amazing song that a lot, like, I've heard people actually shit on Children of the Damned, and I don't know why. It's such a good song. But Led Zeppelin 4, this could just be nostalgia talking, because I grew up with Led Zeppelin 4. I remember the first time I heard Stairway to Heaven. My friend was like, oh my God, this is like this badass heavy rocker. And like, as soon as I heard it, it was like, ding, 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 ding. I looked at him like, are you serious?
Yeah.
But obviously the song progressed and it got really heavy.
And of course it has When the Levee Breaks.
Yes.
One of the best songs they ever wrote.
Yeah, that is, it's technically a Robert Johnson cover, but yeah, the Led Zeppelin version is probably one of my favorite Led Zeppelin songs. Yeah,
I actually didn't know that. It's
a Robert Johnson. I thought I told you that. Anyway, yeah, it's a Robert Johnson cover. I would say Led Zeppelin's version of that versus and No Quarter, and also Achilles' Last Stand. All three of those, essential Led Zeppelin. And it's it's kind of a shame that all three of those songs are not played ad nauseum like other
actually
things from this album.
fact check real quick. It was actually first written and recorded by Kansas Joe McCoy and Memphis Minnie.
Really? I thought it was so I guess Robert Johnson covered it.
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, and I wish those songs would be overplayed ad nauseum like other songs off this album. For example, Black Dog and Stairway to Heaven, which a lot of people say Stairway to Heaven is overrated. Robert Plant even hates the song. I love it. I will never get tired of hearing Stairway to Heaven. You can never overplay it. It's an amazing song with amazing instrumentals, amazing chord progression, amazing vocals, good lyrics. I don't know. Maybe you could make the point that it's a little bit overhyped, but I would definitely argue that. Going to California, that's actually one of my dad's favorite songs. Four Sticks, Misty Mountain Hop, Rock and Roll, just so many fucking classics. This album was my childhood, and I hope that I am listening to it when I'm 80.
All right, so for me, Given my history with Iron Maiden, you're probably surprised to hear me say this, but Number of the Beast wins for me. Number of the Beast wins. And I think there's two big reasons for that. One, Zeppelin 4 is overplayed. Almost every song on this album I've heard ad nauseum, and I'm not a huge Zeppelin fan to begin with.
Bro, you're breaking my balls, bro.
Black Dog is one of the worst songs they've ever written. I'm sorry,
Fuck
it's
off.
terrible. It's terrible.
Fuck off.
The riff is generic. It's not good. The vocal,
the drumming makes that song. The clumsy oaf John Bonham drum riff, or the drum thing. That's what makes it. That was so unique. Nobody ever really did anything like that. It gives it more character. It gives it more character.
John Bonham is one of the best drummers who ever lived, but there are better songs for him. On this album alone, like every other song is better in my opinion, drum wise.
I would say besides like Battle of Evermore, which I don't really care for.
And honestly, I never liked Stairway to Heaven. I never liked it. It's just never been a song that I liked. It is overplayed, but I'm not going to sit here and say that that's a bad thing because it is such a legendary song. Okay. I just personally don't like it.
Okay.
Iron Maiden, on the other hand, I'm not a huge fan of that album either, Number of the Beast, but it has more songs that I grew up with, and as an album, I think it's stronger. You have Invaders, you have, 22 Acacia Avenue, like you said, Number of the Beast, that was the first Maiden song I ever heard. You know, when I was a kid playing Guitar Hero, that was the only Maiden song I knew, and I loved it. Run to the Hills is legendary. One of the best metal choruses of all time. Hallowed Be Thy Name is just, come on, that's like one of their best songs, you know?
Agreed.
And I realize that it's my biases talking here. I'm a metal fan, not a blues rock fan as much.
It's my biases talking too. I worshipped the hell out of this album throughout high school.
Yeah.
Led Zeppelin 4.
Yeah, but I think it just comes down to my background. I'm a metal guy. I'm a metal guy, and so you got two albums, you know. All right, so
and I'm more of a classic rock guy who was. Yeah, I was more of a classic rock guy who got into metal that way.
Yeah. Meanwhile, it was reversed for me. I was a metalhead before I was a classic rock guy. All right, so let's move on to the next one. I hope we're at least allowed to show Nevermind because of, the baby dick, but. Yeah, so Death Human versus Nirvana, Nevermind. I didn't really like this matchup as much, but I didn't really. There wasn't a huge one to choose from. So, you want to go first, or do you want me to?
So I don't know how much we've talked about Nirvana on the podcast or on any other shows, but he absolutely hates Nirvana, and I'm sure he will get into that momentarily. I used to love Nirvana. There was a point in my life where Nirvana was my favorite band, and then I listened to this album again with Tyler, and I realized how flawed it really is. It has a place in the pop culture zeitgeist, don't get me wrong, and Nevermind Unplugged will still be one of my favorite live albums of all time. That being said, I don't really know how much I like Nevermind anymore. Smells Like Teen Spirit, that's a good song, and definitely it's it's emblematic of a generation. I don't know. I think it might be a bit overplayed by this point. Lithium is a pretty good song. In Bloom is pretty good. Territorial Pissings, I kind of used to respect that song. Now I absolutely hate it. Polly's pretty bad. I mean, if you're writing an anti-rape anthem, or an anti-rape anthem, and then some fuckers go out and rape people to it, maybe you aren't as good of a lyricist as you think you are. It's just not that. Now, Death Human is another one, though. this is where it gets kind of difficult. So you have Nirvana, which is a band I have way more nostalgia for. But then you have Death Human, which is an album I've heard maybe once. In fact, I think we heard it on the podcast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think like from that one time, I can immediately say I think it's better. So I'm going to say Death Human over Nirvana.
Okay. So for me, yeah.
What are you going to pick? So I wonder, what do you think you're going to pick?
I hate fucking Nirvana. Listen, I used to like Nirvana too. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but I used to be a big fan of Nirvana when I was a little kid. I used to listen to them religiously. I was a huge fan. But, oh man, as I've grown older, even as far back as middle school, I hated Nirvana. And like Smells Like Teen Spirit, is one of the worst riffs of all time. In Bloom is a terrible, boring song. Come As You Are, okay, fine, I like that song.
Oh, I forgot that was on this album. That's a good song.
It is a good song. Breed, dog shit. Lithium, where's the... I don't understand the love for that. I've never even liked that song.
She's the one who likes all the pretty... Or was that In Bloom? I honestly can't remember. I got those songs mixed up so much as a kid.
I don't know. I don't like Lithium. Polly is terrible. Territorial Pissings is terrible. The worst song on the album is Endless Nameless. What the fuck was that?
I don't even remember that. I don't even remember that.
We were like listening to this album and the final song came on, Endless Nameless, and we were like, what is this? What the fuck?
What? Is it just like, what? I don't remember that song at all. I must have like fucking blacked out when it happened. Oh, do I want to?
You'll have to listen to it after this.
Do I want to?
You know, but like on the other hand, Death Human is on my top 50 albums for a reason. You know, a Lack of Comprehension, Together as One, Suicide Machine. There's so many amazing songs on this album. I gotta pick it over Nevermind.
Yeah.
All right, so let's just move swiftly on to a fuck you one. Hair of the Dog versus Rust in Peace.
So Hair of the Dog. No, Hair of the Dog, that's on my top 50, and spoiler alert, it's in my top 5, I believe. It's one of my favorite albums of all time. So I'll start off by saying this. Rest in Peace is by no means a slouch. All right? You have the title track, you have Holy Wars, you have what was it? What was the track after Holy Wars? I can't remember. Danger 17. Yeah, Danger 17, I think it is.
Yeah, Hangar 18.
Hangar 18, sorry. Danger
17.
Danger 17. Danger 17. Totally original. Do not sue. No, but Hair of the Dog will have so much. It was, honestly, it was like one of the first vinyls I ever took a gamble on. And one of the first, I think, that I even like purchased on my own. And
such cool album art, Hair of the Dog. What is that supposed to be? Like the three-headed beast from the Book of Revelation?
Who the fuck cares?
That's what it looks like.
But
I just think it looks badass.
So what most people know this album
Hurts.
Love Hurts and Hair of the Dog, the title track, which is the Now You're Messing With
a son of a bitch. Yeah, but the one, what's the one song on it that's just fucking badass?
There's so many, like Changing Times, Miss Misery,
yes.
Miss Misery. I always
Whiskey
thought
Drinking Woman.
Please
Don't Judas Me.
Yeah, exactly. Beggar's Day, which actually is a cover by Crazy Horse. So many good songs. I always thought Changing Times, I always thought the riff to that sounded a lot like Black Dog by Led Zeppelin.
Really? I think it's really fucking good, so it can't sound like Black Dog.
No, I thought it, like, not even the riff, well, maybe not even as much the riff, just the overall structure. Like, when I was a boy, I used to understand that when you're the girl, you gotta act like a man. Hey, mama, yeah, right? Like, you could totally make a mashup. You could totally make a mashup between those two songs. Yeah. But This is just a masterpiece. The only thing and the only problem I really have with Nazareth as a whole is just the vocals. I never really cared for the vocals. He's
They're
passionate,
fun.
don't get me wrong, but
I think they're fun.
I think it would have been. That being said, I guess I'm just so attached to this band that I would not see anybody else. Actually, like even the vocalist they got after what is it, Don McCarthy, I think his name is, after he retired on the most recent album, sounds so much like Don McCarthy or McCarthy. I don't know. You'll have to look up what his name is, but I can't remember.
Yeah. I don't know.
But I mean, this is my favorite Nazareth album, and honestly, it's one of my favorite classic rock albums of all time. So great. So very, very great. I cannot... If you're writing this off because of the meme-tastic Love Hurts, don't. That's a cover anyway. That's an Everly Brothers cover. Listen to their original shit. Listen to Please Don't Judas Me. Metallica even did a fairly decent cover of that song. Is it as good? No, but it does its own thing, and it's unique enough to stand out on its own. But listen to the original. That blew me away the first time I heard it. So pick Rust in Peace.
You know me so well. Listen, it was a really, really fucking hard pick for me, okay? Don't act like this was easy for me. It wasn't. God, Hair of the Dog's one of my favorite classic rock albums, too. You don't understand. Like, I own Hair of the Dog on vinyl, too, and I probably played that album. Well, no, I think Boston's the one I played the most.
Yeah.
But Hair of the Dog is second place. Easily.
Yeah.
I listen to Hair of the Dog so much.
Same here. I would say, like, between Dark Side and Hair of the Dog, those are the two albums I probably play the most on vinyl.
But Rust in Peace, man. God, for a long time I hated Megadeth and I hated this album. Actually, like early on in Logan and my friendship, he made me listen to this album. I was like, it's terrible. I hated it. And I recently, within like the last 8 months, came back and started warming up to Megadeth. It was really the vocals that hurt me.
Yeah.
But I warmed up to them, and over time, I've just fallen in love with this album more and more. I just listened to this album again like last week, and I think like it is every single song on it is perfect. Holy War's The Punishment Due, masterpiece of thrash metal. Hangar 18, the Kashmir of thrash metal. Take No Prisoners. That song is insane on the rhythm guitars. Five Magics. It's probably the worst song on the album, but it's still fucking fantastic. It's still a 10 out of 10. Poison Was the Cure. Amazing. I always thought that was a standout. I don't know why people didn't talk about it. Maybe because it's short. Lucretia. Why the fuck don't people talk about that song? That song is like Petrucci level amazing guitar playing. Like it blew my fucking mind how good the guitar solo is in that song. People are always like, oh, Tornado of Souls. Yeah, that's the best solo on the album, but this is second place easily. Speaking of, Tornado of fucking Souls, which is maybe the best thrash metal song of all time, point blank. And then, of course, you have Dawn Patrol, which has one of the best bass grooves ever. And Rust in Peace Polaris. Name one part of this album that isn't a masterpiece. You can't. Oh, the vocals. Fuck off. It's metal. What do you want to hear?
I love how you're just telling your past self to fuck off.
I know. That's what I've done systematically since I was 10.
Exactly. Now, I'll say this. I didn't really love Megadeth either until I saw them live. And especially, like, songs off of this album. Like Hangar 18 and Holy Wars, were amazing live. And honestly, like, a lot of people say that, like, Dave Mustaine's this huge douchebag, and maybe that's true. He gave off such a cool personality live.
Yeah, no, he's a cool personality for sure. Yeah. I think like Marty Friedman is what makes this album though. He is just, if you go and listen to like his stuff outside of Megadeth, you can really hear just how much influence he had on this record and why after he left, Megadeth never sounded the same. And like since before he came in, they didn't sound similar to this at all. Yeah. All right, so let's move on to the next one, which is going to be Jimi Hendrix, Are You Experienced versus The Sad Wings of Destiny by Judas Priest.
Sad Wings of Destiny.
Really? That's surprising. I was expecting you to pick Hendrix,
No,
actually.
I love Jimi Hendrix, but Sad Wings of Destiny is another one of my favorites. Is it as maybe consistently good? No, but the highs are way higher. And I would not even say that Are You Experienced is not even my favorite Jimi Hendrix album. That might have to be Electric Ladyland. Because that has like Voodoo Child on it. It has Burn the Midnight Lamp. It has so many good classics. But like Judas Priest, Sad Wings of Destiny, I might have to say is probably, I was gonna say my second favorite, but like there's just so much competition between like Stained Class,
Screaming for Vengeance,
Painkiller,
even Firepower, honestly.
Oh, Firepower, yeah, that's true. Even Redeemer of Souls, but Sad Wings of Destiny, despite some of the softer moments not exactly working out and Rob Halford's voice not fully coming into its own quite yet, it's a masterpiece. Victim of Changes, The Ripper, Isle of Domination, Tyrant. God, I love that song. Genocide, Deceiver. And well, Dreamer, Deceiver, and Deceiver, just in general, both of those songs are really good.
Mm-hmm.
Just some top shelf material. If you're writing it off because of some of those slower sections, give it another listen. I guarantee you're gonna like something off of this album. Whether it's Victim of Changes, whether it's The Ripper, whether it's some of the more obscure songs, again, like Isle of Domination, which they, I think, played live maybe once or twice, and then, like, back when this album first came out and Rob Halford still had long blonde hair. But, no, this album is just, there's so many. I wish, like, more songs from this album would make it into Priest live concerts. Hopefully they go out with like one final tour. Hopefully they're able to do that so that like we can hear some more stuff off of this album live, especially Deceiver and especially Isle of Domination.
All right, so this was really hard for me too, I think. Like this is a really hard pick because I love both of these albums. I used to not like Sad Wings much, but recently it grew on me quite a bit. But God, I have to give it to Hendrix. Why? Because as much as I love Sad Wings of Destiny, Logan's right. There's some parts of it that don't work. And it's going against Jimi fucking Hendrix, the most influential and possibly the best guitar player of all time.
No arguments there.
Yeah, I mean, it's just principle almost. But what do you got on this album? Purple Haze, Hey Joe, Foxy Ladies, title track, Highway Chili, yeah, Red House,
Highway Child, yeah,
Lover Confusion, Manic Depression, so many fucking
Manic
amazing
Depression,
songs.
So many good songs. You're right.
So many amazing songs. And I think Sad Wings of Destiny is kind of a little front-ended. Like the best songs are all on the front, in my opinion.
Really? You don't
Ripper,
like? Come on, like Tyrant, Genocide.
I like Tyrant, Genocide not as much, but like Dream, Deceiver, like all those songs are just. You
need to listen to it again and worship the ground of Genocide, or at least like hear like the live version on the, what was that album? I'm a fucking idiot. The one that came out in the 70s. Live, Unleashed in the East.
Oh, that's the big one.
Yeah, I think the, Genocide was on that one, and it sounded amazing.
Yeah, it is. I actually didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess that just shows you how much I don't like the song. I didn't even remember it. All right, so that one was pretty short. Let's move on to Blizzard of Oz by Ozzy Osbourne versus Boston.
Fuck, that's going to be hard. You go first.
This one's pretty open and closed for me. Boston wins. Boston is a perfect album. Every single song is a hit. Every single song it's progressive. It's the only prog album in history to be this popular and be prog. It's technical. Like even experienced guitar players can't play half of this album because it's actually really technical. There's a lot of great solos, amazing vocals. I mean, what else do you want from music? As much as I love Blizzard of Oz, as much as I love Randy Rhoads, I don't think Randy Rhoads really came into his own until Diary of a Madman. He was still kind of fresh in this album. And I've always thought, okay, this is where people are going to bring up the pitchforks. Listen, Randy Rhoads is a good soloer. He is not a good rhythm player. He's never been a good rhythm player. His riffs, as far as like the rhythm are concerned, aren't great. They're just not. I'm sorry. And his tone is terrible with the rhythm sections also. Amazing solo player. There's a reason why he's as influential as he is, but it's not for his rhythm playing. And honestly, like Ozzy really went in a much more poppy direction with this album and his solo career in general. I literally think I probably prefer. I said for a long time that this was second place, but I re-listened to it yesterday. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I prefer The Ultimate Sin over this album.
What?
To be honest with you.
Oh.
I prefer No More Tears. I prefer No Rest for the Wicked. I prefer, like, this album went down fucking hill. I don't like it as much as I used to.
I don't know. I think it's perfect, but you know what? You made a good point with Boston. I'll pick that one. Okay. Like I said, this is tough though. So with both albums, I think they are consistently good with maybe one or two slight weak spots. In Boston's case, it's the last track, Let Me Take You Home Tonight. I mean, it's a big song, don't get me wrong. It's just probably my least favorite out of a 10 out of 10 album. I don't know. Like, maybe I wouldn't even know about Blizzard of Oz what the weakest part of that is. I mean, like, maybe just Crazy Train, just because I've heard it so much. But, I mean, I don't know. Crazy Train, Suicide Solution is an absolute beast. Goodbye to Romance.
That's the best song on the album.
Suicide
Solution is the best song on the album.
Mr. Crowley, I think, is the best song on the album. Partially because of that solo.
Again, pitchforks. I don't like Mr. Crowley. I've always thought that song is not all that great. It's got an amazing solo. It's one of the best solos of all time. And
the lyrics
other than that,
come on, man. I hate.
I didn't even like it live. They played it live, and I was like, yeah, it's kind of boring.
That was amazing. Goodbye to Romance is such an underrated song. What is it? Revolution, Mother Earth. I even like No Bone Movies. I think that's a good song. There's like D, I guess, but that's just like a short little instrumental. But
named after D. Snyder. No, I'm joking.
No. But yeah, I don't know. You know what? Can I change it?
Sure.
Yeah, Blizzard of Oz. It's so close. I feel dirty just like even doing that to Boston because it is such an amazing album.
Yeah.
But I
don't know what to tell you, man. I used to love this album. I really did. In fact, you were the one who turned me on to it. Because like for a long time,
I have a picture disc of this on vinyl.
For a long time, I didn't listen to Ozzy's solo career. I was really into the album with Mama, I'm Coming Home, but outside of that, I kind of hated Ozzy's
I would say
career.
My three favorite Ozzy solo albums have to be, in no particular order, Blizzard of Oz, Diary of a Madman, and No Rest for the Wicked. I think those three albums are consistently good. But like Bark at the Moon is good, but it has some like weaker points. Ultimate Sin, I don't understand why people like that. It has some okay songs
A lot of
on
people
it, but
don't. A lot of people don't. I think I'm the
well, okay,
outlier. I love that album.
Okay, well, more people like that album than really should because it's not that good. No More Tears is all right, but kind of spotty, and then like everything else afterwards is just meh.
I'd say maybe like
Except
Diary. For me, I'd say like Diary of a Madman, and then maybe No Rest for the Wicked, and then maybe No More Tears off the top of my head.
I don't know. No More Tears is just too spotty, I think.
I don't know. I agree that it's spotty, but every Ozzy album is spotty as far as I'm concerned.
Blizzard of Oz is not spotty. Fuck you.
All right. So without further ado, let's move on to Rainbow Rising versus Dark Side of the Moon.
Fuck, do we have to do this? All right. Dark Side of the Moon. Look, this album is... It's a fucking masterpiece. Like, what else can I say? Honestly, both of these albums are in my top 50, which I will release sometime this millennia. But that being said, Dark Side of the Moon, through and through, is one of the best albums of all time. I think it's in the top 5. Maybe it's in my top 3. But the lyrics, the instrumentals, how ahead of its time this album is. And was. It's still ahead of its time. Fuck, like how many people have tried to do what this album did and failed miserably? Like, this is not only the best Pink Floyd album, it's one of the best albums of all time. It's one of the best selling albums of all time. Why? Because people are apparently really into good fucking music. I mean, Michael Jackson's Thriller is also on that list, but we'll just forget about that.
Yeah, I guess I said Boston's the only prog album to be that popular. Pink Floyd is another exception.
That's true.
But I always forget Pink Floyd is considered progressive rock.
Yeah. I would say, like, I think, like, honestly, I keep forgetting that this album is really popular because it's just so good, and I wouldn't expect the mainstream to be into something this good.
Exactly.
But, I mean, you have Time, which is probably the best song on the album. Well, I don't even know. I don't even know what the best song on the album.
Every song is amazing.
Every song is amazing. You can't pick a best song on the album. That's just a fool's errand. But I don't even know what the best or worst song on this album is. It's all 10 out of 10. It's all amazing. If for some unbelievable reason you have not heard this album yet, listen to it. Listen to it, and listen to it with headphones. The mixing is so good on this album. The vocals, the lyrics, the guitar, the overall concept. Polyphonic just did a video series. It's finally done on the concept behind Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon. And like it just reaffirms how legendary this album is. I have literally not one single bad thing to say about it. So pick Rainbow Rising. Go on.
I'm actually going to pick Dark Side of the Moon.
Whoa! Shit, yeah, did I finally convert you?
Yeah, you have converted me. I am a huge fan of Pink Floyd now, and I'm a huge fan of this album, and I would rather listen to it than Rising. So that's basically the reason I'm picking it. I will say, though, I really don't like On the Run. I don't know what the hell that was, but I hate it every time I hear it. I usually
Did you listen to it with headphones?
Yes, I don't know, man. I just don't like
you didn't like okay, like you didn't love how it was like swoosh swoosh around you, like
I mean, that's cool, but it goes on for like 15 minutes.
It should have gone on for fucking 30.
It should have gone on for like 30 seconds and been done. That's what I think. Also, David Gilmour is, again, pitchforks, kind of overrated as a guitar player. I mean, he's great, and his feel is great. He plays a lot with
feels. Exactly. He plays a lot with feel, and that's why he's so good.
but his feel doesn't always work. So sometimes the solos are good and sometimes you're just not feeling the feel, you know? And I find that with David Gilmour, it's just very hit or miss. But that said, the album is just brilliantly composed. It's brilliantly, I mean, just the lyricism is really what sells me on this album, to be honest with you. I mean, as much as I love the music, the lyricism is just so up my alley. I love the concept. I haven't seen Polyphonic's videos, but just from listening to the album and reading the lyrics, like alone, you know? I need to watch Polyphonic's videos, though, because it seems like it's really, really in depth.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to one that might be a little hard for me, but you probably won't have an issue. Pantera Vulgar Display of Power versus Master of Puppets by Metallica.
Okay, so Master of Puppets. I think that album is consistently really good. Now, the only reason I'm not saying that about Pantera's Vulgar Display of Power is just because I don't even know if I've ever fully listened to that album.
Really? I thought you did.
I probably listened to like most of it, but like there's definitely good songs on there. This Love and Rise, I'd say, are the two best songs on the album.
Rise are great.
Yeah. What?
I said Rise is great, yeah.
Rise, yeah. Metallica, though,
Anthem. So many good songs.
Metallica, though, anthem after anthem after anthem. Master of Puppets, even Sanitarium. Even Sanitarium, which is like probably my least favorite song on the album, it still kicks way too much ass to even function. Damage Incorporated, probably one of the best songs on the album, and one I've actually heard a lot of people shit on.
Orion, best Metallica instrumental.
Yeah. Battery, The Things That Should Not Be. What was it? Leper Messiah is amazing. I'm pretty sure that was on this album, right? Or was that on Black Album?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. It's on this album.
Just every single song is amazing.
Yeah, I agree, for sure.
I honestly don't even know what more to say. Just this is an amazing album.
This was so hard for me because I worship both of these bands. Metallica and Pantera are two of my biggest influences as a person and as a guitar player. I have to go with probably Pantera because as much as I love Master of Puppets, I prefer, like, if I were to sit down and say, what Metallica album do I want to listen to? Talking right now, which I may change my mind in a week, I would prefer to listen to Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, and Justice for All, even Hardwired than Master of Puppets. Recently, I've been feeling like kind of worn out from that album. I feel like I've heard a lot of those songs too much. And Vulgar Display of Power, I've heard probably just as much, but it's never gotten old. And I could actually sit down and listen to the whole thing right now, and it would feel like it was the first time for me.
Now, which one has the least shitty artwork?
I don't know. They're both. Also, the title Vulgar Display of Power is a reference to The Exorcist, so it wins by default.
Oh, fair enough. I'll give you
All
that.
Right. So let's go down to Savatage, Hall of the Mountain King versus Riot Thundersteel.
Shit. I'm going to have to go with Thundersteel.
Ooh.
I'm going to have to go with Thundersteel. I love Sabotage. This actually isn't the album that introduced me to Sabotage. It was actually Streets, a rock opera.
That's such a good album too.
It is. It's so diverse too. Like,
it really
is. It's so like Jesus Saves is such a great song. These Streets as well. But Riot, maybe it's just because of its underdog status. Like, I think more people know about Sabotage than Riot.
They're both pretty obscure unless you're like a metalhead.
Exactly, I guess. But like, I don't know. I think actually the way I was introduced to both of these bands is through my dad. My dad had a Sabotage CD, actually These Streets, and then he told me about Riot and like the weird like otter mascot thing, which fuck you, that's badass if you get the reference.
I like the mascot too.
It's badass if you get the reference. So, I mean, you have Thundersteel, Fight or Fall, Flight of the Warrior, Johnny's Back. I mean, this is a difficult one to pick, but I mean, you have the Hall of the Mountain King on Sabotage. You have Strange Wings. You have a lot of really good anthems on both of these albums. And if you are a fan of power metal, I would recommend you go ahead and listen to both of these albums if you have not already. That being said, maybe it's just the underdog status. Maybe it's just because I like Riot more so as a whole. And also, I guess, because they never really sold the fuck out and started doing Christmas music. So I'm going to have to say Thundersteel for me.
Yeah, and for me, it's Sabotage. And basically, these albums were so close. Like, I can't even really give a reason why I prefer one or the other. It basically just comes down to, if I were to sit down and choose to listen to between one of these albums, it would be Sabotage. So, yeah, I don't have anything more to say about that. Now, let's go on to, this one is just pathetically easy for me. Iced Earth Burnt Offerings versus Disraeli Gears by Cream.
How the fuck is this even a comparison? Cream? Iced Earth, come on. I don't really like Cream. There, that's my hot take. I don't really love blues rock as a whole. There's exceptions, like I said before, Led Zeppelin, Cactus to some degree. Even some Eric Clapton on his own, I think is better. But Iced Earth, I actually just listened to this album, and you have let me pull up the list of
Oh, did you? I didn't know you listened to it.
I did listen to Iced Earth. I didn't tell you about it. But Brainwashed is probably the best song on the album, I think. And then you have, God, that's so hard to pick, what the best songs on the album are.
Probably for me, it's got to be Dante's Inferno. It's such an epic song.
The Dark Saga, right?
No, Burnt Offerings.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah.
Dark Saga is actually a concept album on Spawn, which I think is pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. Burnt Offerings has different artwork on Spotify.
It does. I noticed that too, but this is the original artwork. It's a picture of Lucifer.
Burning Oasis is probably the other favorite song.
It's a great song. Yeah, so this is the original artwork. This is a picture of Lucifer from Dante's Inferno. He's in the ice, and you can see him chewing on
that is badass as all hell. If this was just a battle of the cover arts, I mean, it would cream the competition.
Yeah. Honestly, I like Cream. Cream is not on my top 50 list, but it was for a long time. It got beat out by something, but it's not even a comparison. Burnt Offerings is in a whole nother fucking hemisphere. And you'll see on this list, Burnt Offerings is going to go very far because this is one of my favorite metal albums. It's in my top 3 easily. All right. So Abigail King Diamond versus Awake by Dream Theater.
I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna do this from. I don't even think I've actually listened to the Abigail album, which is a shame because it's really good.
I think you did at some point.
Oh, maybe. I know I listened to some King Diamond, but I'm still gonna have to pick Awake by Dream Theater. We actually listened to it on Audioholics Unite, I believe.
Yeah, we did.
And I mean, it's an amazing album.
It almost turned you into a fan.
It almost turned me into a fan, and Metropolis Part 2 did turn me into a fan. But I mean, so if you're a longtime viewer, you know our very controversial opinions of Images and Words. There's no controversy here. This is a fucking amazing album, and anybody who disagrees is just wrong. Just top shelf.
I gotta ask
prog
though,
metal.
what the fuck is that goddamn artwork? It looks like they're on the moon, but there's a mirror, and it's what the fuck? I don't know. It's so weird.
No, did Dream Theater ever really have that great of artwork?
They did, like, Scenes from a Memory has really good artwork. It was the same guy that did the movie 13 Ghosts, the artwork for that movie. Yeah. Really like his style. He did 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence too, and I like that. I don't think it's as good as Scenes from a Memory. I think probably Dream Theater's best artwork is The Astonishing, and that album fucking blows, so it's kind of a shame, but good artwork. For me, Abigail. Easy
I was
kind of
wondering
pick
what
for
you
me.
would pick. I don't even know. I wouldn't have even known.
Yeah, I love Dream Theater. Awake's one of my favorite Dream Theater albums, but Abigail is just... I'm a horror nerd. What can I tell you? It's a concept album that tells a horror story, and it's sung by King Diamond. It's basically a doom metal album. It's like gothic doomy. It's like Merciful Fate, but like better. You know, it's just, I love it. I love it in every way, shape, and form. There's so many amazing songs on this album. I mean, let me just like read off the track listing. You got Funeral, Arrival, A Mansion in Darkness, The Family Ghost, probably my favorite song. The Seventh Day of July, 1777, gotta love that. Omens, The Possession, title track, and Black Horseman. Just from front to back, an amazing album. And the sequel album, there is a sequel album, by the way, is really good too.
What?
It's not called Abigail 2, but it's like a sequel to the story.
Okay, well in that
I
case,
forget which one it is. I think it's
in that case, it can't be that bad.
What it is.
Yeah,
No,
you
really
know
good.
what? I'm just.
Oh no,
totally...
it is called Abigail too. I'm just full of shit.
Oh no. Oh no.
I was thinking of them. Them is something else. Never mind.
Oh.
Anyway, I love this album. Awake is great. This album is better. All right. So that
honestly,
is...
yeah. I haven't listened to Abigail, like I said, so I'm just biased against that. But
so
if I did,
is,
I'd probably like it more.
That's the left side of the list. That's everything we got for today's video. Let me just go through our picks again. So, wait, no. Logan first.
All right.
So he picked Blue Murder. Do you want to do it?
Yeah, Blue Murder, Holy Diver by Dio, Led Zeppelin 4 by Led Zeppelin. What album? Why don't you do it, actually? Oh, that's Human by Death.
Human by Death. Yep. Rust in Peace by...
There's some lag on my end.
Did I get the list fucked up?
No. You didn't. You got it right.
No, because I must have fucked it up when we were doing this earlier. That's okay. Anyway, back to your list. So,
yeah.
Hair of the Dog, Nazareth. Oh, what the shit? What did I do?
We are experiencing.
I completely fucked up the lists. Either way. Let's go.
Sad Wings of Destiny.
Sad Wings of Destiny, Blizzard of Oz, Dark Side of the Moon, Master of Puppets, Thunder Steel, Burn Offerings, and Awake by Dream Theater.
That's all right.
Yeah, and so for me, I chose Blue Murder, Moving Pictures, Number of the Beast, Death, Rust in Peace, Jimi Hendrix, Boston, Dark Side of the Moon, Pantera, Sabotage, Burnt Offerings, and Abigail. So yeah, that's been the left side, and in the next video, we will do the right side of the list. Thank you for watching, and we can't wait to see you next time.
Well,
bye-bye.
Bye.